Hi guys, this is Suzanne HB, Crazy Just Might Work on Instagram, and today's tutorial is going to be on the sparkling waterfall bracelet. This is the one that I made for my husband that I've on my Instagram page. Oh, sorry about wiggling. So this is the signature side, I guess, with the, I kind of think this is like the waterfall coming down here. My nephew named it for me. And it can also be worn on the reverse side, and you see the contrasting colour coming out here, more so on this side than on this side. This is kind of tucked behind here and just adds a little bit of subtle colour. There are two ways of doing this, two versions as well. We'll do this version, which has the split cap here running up. And then there's also a version that I've done. I haven't done a full bracelet of it, but we will have a bit of a go at that. This is a piece that I've done, and basically it's, instead of splitting the cap and pulling that up to the next one, on this side, sorry, instead of that splitting and coming up to the next one, you just release the triple cap band there, and you get a much more open effect on your bracelet. All these little sections joined together. Okay, so this is the open version, and the other one is the closed version where it's actually linked together. So today's tutorial I'm going to do on the monster tail. You can come up with a couple of different ways you can do it on the rainbow loom, but they're a little bit more awkward, so I'm just going to do it on the monster tail, and if anybody wants to work out how to do it on the rainbow loom, I can always post something on that. For today I'm going to try using these new pearl, turquoise and white bands, opaque caramel bands, and metallic gold bands, all Rainbow Loom brand, and I would recommend that you use Rainbow Loom brand because there is a fair amount of stretch on some of these bands as you go through, so you want to find something that's fairly resilient. This is an original design. It's got some similarities with my blaster bolt design, particularly the split cap one, and it's also a variation on the Type A 101 bracelet, which needs a bit of tweaking before it will actually work. But it's got some of the techniques or some of the patterns of looping that I do use in that. Alrighty, so let's get started. Our first step is to take, and I'll try and stay out of your way, is to take this band through from the middle peg out to the left, and then the opposite, we're going to go middle peg out to the right. We need a horizontal band, and I would recommend that the horizontal band is an opaque band, something that's not slippery, because it does affect how it lays in the end result, and if it's an opaque band it seems to lay better. So that one goes across there. Our first looping then is to take this band back to itself, this band back to itself, and then do a cross back, give it a bit of a stretch up, cross back to the middle, and cross back to the middle. Once you've done that cross back technique, which was originated by Jordan Teen 1, then you do a triple cap band on this front peg here. Now how you get that on, it doesn't really matter. It will affect the look slightly. Sorry if I got in your way there. So once you've got your triple cap band on there, you then loop out through the triple cap band, that top band back to itself, and this band also back to itself. Now on the next layers we're going to have another band sort of left here that will get looped over then. That's the only difference between this layer and the next layer, is there'll be a band left over from the previous one to loop up there, and there'll be a band left over from the previous one to loop up here. So this will be a little bit different, but that's the only difference, just this first layer. So once we've done that, you actually take this side loop and shift it over. Go around the back so this is easier. You take this side loop here and also shift it over to this one at the back. Loop these two bands up and over there, and these two bands also, whoops, up and over there. I quite like using these two-tone bands on this bracelet because there's a fair amount of twists comes into the design, and you really get to see both sides of the bracelet, sorry, both sides of the band colours. Alright, so we've got that lifted up and over there, and the last step is to take these bottom two loops of the triple cap band and just lift that over to there and push down for the next layer. Okay, so the next layer is laid exactly the same way. We'll just have a couple of extra looping steps because we've got the previous layer on there. Okay, so again, looping from the middle front to the side left, middle front to the side right, take our horizontal band across, do our crossover, so grab this one here, this one here. For this cross back, you actually take the bottom of those two, stretch it out a bit and bring it back to where it was. On this side the same, bottom two, stretch it out, cross back. Once you've done the cross back over and you've got them both back on that bottom front one, you do your triple cap. Oh, that band's a little wonky. Let's try another one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, loop out through the triple cap band, grab that top one, which should be the left one if you've done them in the same order. Grab it, put it back on itself. And then this second, whoops, second one, hope you can see what I'm doing, and back on itself. Right. Now this is where it gets just that slightly bit different to the first layer. We've now got a layer on here that needs to come up first. So the first thing we do is take that bottom layer up and over. This layer on the same layer on the left side, up and over. This is the same as the previous one. We shift this one over. We shift this one over. Grab the bottom layer, which is 2 bands, up and over. And this bottom layer, 2 bands, up and over. On the front, again, it's the same step that we did in the first. As far as splitting that cap band, grab the bottom 2, lift them up and over. But we also have this band which was left over from the previous layer, and you lift that up and over, and that's the linking band. That will link one to the next. So this is basically the step that would change when you do the open one. So we'll just be going through those steps again because we'll continue doing that same looping pattern all the way through to the end of the bracelet. So we're going up to the left, push down, up to the right, grab our horizontal band across, grab these bands, looping them back to themselves, both sides, grabbing that bottom part, bringing it back to that centre front, bottom, stretch it out, and back to that centre front. So loop over, cross back, and then we need to lay our triple cap band again. So we grab our cap band colour, oops, and loop it around 3 times. Just make sure it's triple capped. Going inside that triple cap band and grabbing the top band, so you can see we've just got those crossed over and crossed back. Just grab that top one, which should be the one going to the left, and over, and this one over to the right. Once we've looped them out of the cap band, turn it over, grab this bottom layer and lift it up and over, bottom layer up and over. Now we do the shifting step. Probably should push down a little on that to make the shifting step easier. Shift this band to the back, shift this band to the back, and grab this layer with 2 bands, lifting it up and over, trying not to lose that band there, which I'm not having much luck with. Lifting it up and over, that's better. Heading to the cap band at the front, grabbing the bottom 2 layers of that and lifting them up and over, and getting the band from the previous layer that was left there and lifting it up and over to link them together. Push it down and lay the next layer. Okay, should be starting to get the hang of it now. Slightly different with the shifting of the bands around, but not complicated, not that many steps. It's tempting sometimes to do the crossover and cross back on the same loop, but then you can't get this one out. So you have to do the crossover one after the other and then do the cross backs. Stretch, cross back, stretch, cross back, triple cap band, going into the cap band and hooking this one out, trying to get my hand out of the way, in the cap band and looping that one out as well, back to itself. Once it's been looped back, we start lifting the layers up and over. So grab this bottom single band, push down a little, moving this one to the back and this one to the back, and on the back again, lifting these 2 bands up and over, these 2 bands up and over, back around to our cap band to split it. So grab these 2 bands at the bottom, these 2 loops of the cap band, same band but we're splitting it, up and over, and then we grab this leftover loop from the previous cap band on that layer, bring it up and over. Don't know if we can start to see a little bit of what's forming underneath there. That's the top side, and then that's the underneath. We get that lovely twisty, swirly kind of feel about it, particularly when you use the double layered bands. Alright, I might do it once more and then I'll complete it and we'll come back again, because I think you'll probably just about have it by now. Front front to the left, front to the right, horizontal band, and that horizontal band is the one that'll feature most prominently as a bit of a highlight on that reverse side. You can see the caramel colour coming out as a bit of a highlight on that reverse side. You don't see as much of the cap band on the reverse side. You see a lot more of the cap band colouring on the first side. So horizontal band, looping over, these two front bands over onto themselves, and then grabbing bottom of that and crossing back. Putting this one, crossing back. Push it down a little. Triple cap band. Oops, doesn't want to stay on. That one's not very stretchy. Oh, I've noticed that the new gold metallic bands are a lot more stretchy than the previous ones. And I've got mine mixed up. 1, 2, 3. I think this works better with the slightly stretchier metallic cap band. So grabbing through that triple cap band, grabbing the top and over, grabbing the next band over, so it's going back to itself. On the back, getting a single band, bringing it up and over, single band up and over, doing the shift. Shifting this band to the back, shifting this band to the back, and then we grab the bottom layer, bottom layer up and over, and the bottom layer on this side up and over. I'm sorry for the shadow. This layer up and over. I've got to tell you that the positive thing about this is that sometimes these do want to come off, but because it's all kind of twisted together fairly securely, even if it comes off, it doesn't go very far, so you can usually grab it and remedy it pretty easily back onto there. So even if it does come off, you don't have too many problems. So we've just lifted those back bands, the two up and over, grab our cap band at the front, split it, grab the bottom two, up and over, and lastly grab the... I was going to make the last layer the last one that I showed, but I just remembered a couple of things that might make it easier if you're having trouble with things popping off or whatever. So as you can see, I've been doing a bit more of it, and I had this thought occur to me. So I'll do another layer and I'll just point out a couple of things that might be helpful. So we do, as before, exactly the same. Doesn't matter which way that flips, forward or backwards, whichever is more comfortable. Okay, so I'll just do this layer, and when I get to the point of giving you a tip, I'll let you know. So this is just a standard layer. Popping our triple cap band on. So I'm getting all excited getting out of view. Here we go. Bringing it back to itself. And then the other side. Okay, so this was just my small tip. If you're having trouble with these back bands popping off or you're looping them over from the back, you just press down on the sides. So usually this one isn't too much of a problem. Bring that one up and over on both sides. That way. Push it down a little bit. Now you can shift these ones. Shift this one back. And shift this one back. And these are the ones I usually have trouble with, if I'm going to have any, with those ones popping off as you bring the heavier double band back over. But if you just push down or place your thumb there as you pull it over, you're pretty much guaranteed not to lose it. as it comes over. And same thing on the other side, just shift so that your thumb is just on top of, resting on top of there, and you don't lose those ones. There you go. Now the second thing that I remembered as we were going through was, if you put down your cap band and it's looking all really twisty and all over the place here, you don't have to worry about straightening it out until you get to this point. And at this point, if you just straighten it out around, then you should be able to find the two bands at the bottom. Give them a little stretch if you need to, and up and over. And I'll show you at the end why that actually makes a difference to the look of the bracelet, which of the bands you grab. And grab this, and over again. Alright, I'll keep going, and I'll come back. Okay, so I've made the length that I need to make a bracelet for me. I'll make one for my husband, so this one's going to be mine. I've made it in colours that I would be likely to wear. Alright, so that's what it looks like when it's that length. Here's the reverse. We have all those lovely twisty bits and pieces. And one thing I just wanted to mention, you can see in here that the loops underneath sort of form these little rainbow shapes, and then the linking part comes up between them. If you stretch this band out, sometimes, I'll just demonstrate on one, sometimes those loops actually tuck under like that, so it kind of creates a bump and it looks uneven, but all you have to do is just separate those two particular ones and just make sure that those ones pop back on top. So it's really easy to fix. Right, the closure is also extremely easy because we only have 3 bands left on the loom after the last step. So the way I'm going to close it is just by bringing these back forward to the front peg. This one over here. This one over here. Bring those forward. So I've got all 3 on that. And either grab them off the loom or stretch them out and put your C-clip on there. Make sure you grab all of them, which I now have. Okay, so that's caught all of them now. And you just pop those off. Sorry about all the strange bumping noises. Alright, so we now have this side. It's quite flexible, so you can actually wear it one way or the other. And it will sit quite nicely. So all we need to do is actually just grab this original, this original cap band piece, which will probably be better done with my hook. Grab this original cap band and hook. Hook the C-clip over there, and that just links those up. If you find that it's sitting up a little bit when you hook them together, it'll sit nicely on your wrist, but also what you can do is just give it a bit of a stretch out and squish on that last one, and it'll start to form in a little bit. It's quite flexible because there aren't actually very many bands per section, so you can kind of squish it around a bit. And so that is our completed Waterfall bracelet. Now if you want to stick around, I'll show you the quick and easy way to do the open Waterfall bracelet, which uses slightly less bands. This only uses about 100 bands anyway. Okay, so if you'd like to see how to make the open version of this bracelet, it's very simple. It's not much different to what we've just done in the last section, and it gives you an open sort of almost like a ladder stepping up between the little, they kind of look like clouds to me, like the little sections of twisted band. So pretty much most of the steps are the same. So I'll just run you through how it would work. Remembering that these first steps are the same as all the steps running through, except for the fact that we don't have the bottom previous section to loop up and over. So at this stage nothing changes. Oh, sorry for bumping that. Let's try and steady that. Don't want to make you seasick. Okay. Okay, so we just grab this one. Oops. So everything as before. Moving this one over. I need to slow down, I'm doing this too quickly. Get this one over as before. Lifting up and over. But we are not actually going to bring any of these up and out at all. We're just going to leave that on there. When we've done the next layer, we'll start popping them off. Because what we'll end up doing, actually we could pop it off now, but it does end up, that's what you end up with. So you can pop it off then. Our next section, I was a bit concerned that might have popped it off the back, but that's okay. So the next section we do exactly the same as before, but we're not going to have anything left on this front layer to loop back over. So we do our crossover, cross back, exactly the same. Triple cap band. Looping out, back on itself, looping out, back on itself. All the same steps with these back layers, because this is what forms the sort of twists. Over, over, sorry I do one side at a time rather than doing, which is another way you can do it once you learn the steps. You can just do the right side and then the left side, which is the way I tend to do it. Or you can do looping these back ones over on either side, looping the side ones over on either side, as long as they end up in the same order. Okay, so we get to here, and instead of doing any front looping, just grab that one and take it off and over. So just one more time. Sorry about getting in the way there. All we're really doing is missing those split cap steps at the front. So this is the way we did it before. We did right side, left side, right side, left side, and then right side, left side. And we just hook this one up and over. So what you end up with is, see if I can, what you end up with is a whole pile of separate loops. So you get a nice twisty effect, but they're not actually connected together. So that's the effect that you'll get up the bracelet. And if they, as they sit together, they might sit over themselves a little bit, or they might sit separately. It depends what kind of band you use on the cap band. These ones are fairly taut silicone bands, so they'll hold their shape. Another kind of band might sit a little bit flatter and hold the bracelet together a little bit more. So you can play around with that version as well, and that'll probably take slightly less bands because it's not as tight, because it's not looped together. Alrighty, so I just thought I'd show you that version as well, in case you're interested in doing that one. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing your sparkling waterfalls or your open sparkling waterfalls. Okay, happy looming. Bye guys.